guys. I mean, you guys were up at Joliet last weekend, and you saw some guys you liked and you want to get into. So feel free just to hop in, Pete. I see you got some arms here listed.
Yeah, Pete, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, let's see. Well, I see Drew, you got notes on his hitting as well, but Jack Bullington, junior future gamer for us. We just really like him on both sides of the ball. Dad was a big leaguer too, I believe, so it's hard to not like that about him. But he was 79 to 81. Really like the way it moves. There's a ton more to come there. Really good kid too. 79 to 81, like I said. Good slider, good changeup. High waisted kid. There's plenty more to come there. Just really a big fan of him. And then moving down, I had a bunch of solid arms in my mount, so I kind of got a decent little list here. But Parker Danielson, Hananega kid, up to 84. He's a good athlete. He had a firmer slider, kind of a downer shape too, like a bullet. And he flashed a changeup with some fade, and I just really liked the way it moved. Anthony Couch here, Marquette Academy. He was up to 80. He's a senior, sorry, a junior, uncommitted, up to 85 with a really good changeup. Really sells it. Firm slider, good intent too, good spin with it. Just another name that I liked. Johnny Kellens, an Evanston kid, another uncommitted junior, another clean mover. He was up to 84, so just a name to know. Reed Hepperly, though, he was one of the more, one of the names that stood out for me maybe more on the day. New Berlin kid, uncommitted junior as well. He was up to 86. He had one of the better fastballs of the day. Good curveball, good changeup to pair. Liam Martin, Bradley Bourbonnais, another 2026, another uncommitted 2026. Moves well, kind of like a big, durable starters build. Moves well for the size as well, up to 84 miles an hour. Changeup, curveball mix, and he had good feel to keep it under the zone. And then a couple 2027s here that I liked. Grayson Leonard, Gibson City, Melvin Sibley kid. I think he really has a chance. The fastball's up to 83 miles an hour. Good feel for a fading changeup as well. And then Kyle Rodak, Manuka 2027, up to 83. Another low 80s arm, Alex Siska from Plainfield Central 2027. Nick Stowasser, Crystal Lake South kid 2027. I just really liked the tempo and the mover there. So he's got a slight crossfire, so some deception there. But he was up to 80 miles an hour with the fastball. So pretty notable there. And then two more here. Two more kind of local kids to that area. Logan Mackin, Minooka 2027. He was up to 83. And then Max Rothbun, Joliet Catholic kid, up to 80 miles an hour. And he flashed good action to his changeup as well. And then he had a little curveball to complement the mix. But yeah, I know that was kind of rapid fire. But I had a pretty decent crop of arms on my mound for sure.
Well, and you mentioned Reed Hepperly, and I love it because it was the Joliet preseason ID, and he's from New Berlin. And that's down in the Springfield area. And it just fires me up when, he's willing to come that far, travel that far up there. And then he makes a statement, and he shows well, and he definitely stands out to us. So good work there, Reed. And Tyler, did you want to get in on your next arms here, and then I'll finish with the bats?
Yeah. For me, like I had a couple good arms on my mound as well. I think the biggest one that popped for me is right-handed pitcher Kellen Forsythe out of Coal City, 6 foot 158. So there, in my opinion, there's room to still go in that frame. But really liked how he moved down the mound. He's got some long levers about him. He was 84 to 86 with the fastball, but it came out really good. His best pitch on the day was a changeup. He had really good feel for it, knew where he wanted to throw it, and then I thought both breaking balls flashed as well. So, guy down there at Coal City that I've internally got earmarked as a guy to potentially get out and see this spring. So, Drew, from here I can throw it over to you and let you touch on your bats from the day.
Yeah, and there were just a lot of bats to sift through in general. I'm not going to get in on a ton of them. There's a lot of follows, but some guys that I like the bats. I like their BP round, had good notes on them. And then they also kind of checked the boxes in other areas as well, whether they were good runners or we had good defensive notes on them. But it seemed like outfielders kind of stood out for me on the day. Gavin Geegan from Yorkville, he's a 2027, but he's really physical for a sophomore, and he's got some tools. He was a 6.78 runner. He was 80 across the infield, 98 max exit velocity. And really, he was just strong, direct, and on the barrel throughout with like a lot of hard contact, loud contact. Another guy that had a lot of loud contact, and I really liked the swing. I thought it had some looseness to it with physicality kind of attached, was outfielder Mark Jackson, another 2027 from Wheaton Academy. Ran a 6.94, which stood out to me given his age and the frame. That's definitely a well above average runner there. That's one to keep an eye on. That should only get better. Um, but he was 85 from the outfield, 96 max exit velocity, and just was all over the barrel with intent. Like, he does not get cheated at the plate, but he sinks it up. It wasn't all or nothing. He was on time, and he was to both gaps. Hayden Latchkin was a guy that really stood out to me. Mount Carmel 2026, another outfielder, ran a 6.84. He's a wiry athletic prospect. And to me, like, maybe profile kind of all over the outfield. And the athleticism really showed up in the batter's box. Like, there was some whip to the barrel. Like, just the way he kind of got the bat through the zone, I loved. And it was highly repeatable. It was flat. It was a line drive approach. And he was spraying it around the yard. Grant Dose, outfielder from Ottawa Marquette. I felt like we had a ton of really solid Ottawa Marquette prospects, which is no surprise then why they're, a predominant kind of power in that 1A class and a team to watch. But they had all kinds of guys that showed up, which I love to see. And really caught our eye. But Grant Doe, 7.10 runner, physicality to him as well, kind of compact and just strong. 87 from the outfield, 95 exit velocity. Alec Novotny, another one from Ottawa Marquette. He kind of made his statement the day before at the preseason All-State on the mound. And he came to Joliet just as a position guy, but he's the same exact guy we've known, just a good baseball player with all kinds of feel for the game. So that's a name to know in that 26 class just in general. Evan Mendiola, it was hit or miss to start his round, and then he got it going towards the end. But he's got a good looking frame, fills out the uniform, like long but strong levers, and worked gap to gap. And there was some loudness in the barrel when he was able to sync up. 95 max exit velocity with 75 from the crouch. And then Pete was talking about Jack Bullington. Him and his brother Matt are both, two interesting 2028s for me. And I think the reason I like them, a lot is they both are so far from being what they're going to be physically. They look super young. They have, not hit their, full maturity yet. But Jack has all kinds of polish in his game and in his swing. Like, it's loose and on plane and balanced and highly repeatable and just so much polish. It's kind of like the one thing I saw when he was hitting. I was like, that's not, a typical 2028 type of round, where, he is using the whole field. He's on time. It's, not over swinging, and being on the barrel and just showing good feel for the barrel. So he's one that's just, to me, like a guy to watch in that class that I think, maybe early on in his high school career, he's not going to be that like, high end, oh my gosh, prospect putting up all these wow velos and numbers and getting all this attention, but like the steady progression, like that is what I can just kind of visualize for Jack. I think at some point, like the body's going to really tick up. He and Matt are ones to watch. And then I mentioned him earlier. We were talking about Bennett and Carson Ebling. I went back to watch the video just to be like, man, how much did I like this guy? But really athletic frame and with like developing strength and loose, like balanced and bat speed, and had the best bat speed of the event. 6.96 runner, 83 from the infield, and was a 96 exit velocity. And some of my notes from the event were basically was hammering baseballs. Like, and if I'm putting that, like, then he's repeatedly just on that barrel with loud intent to it and just a good round, basically. So Carson Ebling, I know he had good defensive notes on him as well. I think that was a winner from Joliet. And there were a number of other winners. I can't wait to kind of break that event down positionally and see when these videos get into profiles and stuff like that. But Joliet was a great way to cap off the winter, Gavin. Some of the best numbers we've had at that event since we've been running it over there in Shorewood at the Rhino Academy. And the amount of just like follows that we got from that in our winter in general. And it kind of crazy because we run that on Sunday. You run the preseason All-State on Saturday. And the preseason All-State, when you talk about underclass and upperclass and 300 plus guys, like the amount of follows that hit our database in the last weekend of the winter was kind of through the roof. And then we quickly transition into this winter, getting the Power 25 together when we still need to go through all these guys, all these videos, all these notes, work on getting rankings updated before the spring. We got our work cut out for us, but it's all fun stuff. Like, we go through the entire off season without seeing a ton of guys. We're in our office, just doing our podcast, whatever it may be. We've got all kinds of different things we do in the off season, but it's great to finally see players again. Now, not only do we get to see guys in showcase setting, but we've got the spring season right around us, so we can now see, okay, like, the showcase workout is fresh in our minds. Now we get to marry it with the in-game performance. Get to go see these guys, starting with the kickoff classic, the first weekend of the season. Shoot, maybe some games before that, even if the weather holds up. So it's a good time of year.
Yeah, it's crazy that our preseason ID events are done because it feels just like yesterday it was Christmas and now our events are done, and before we know it, it's going to be July 4th, and we're going to be like, man, where did the spring go? And it's crazy. But